Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Sunday Messages. If you've been following me on Instagram, you already know the update. But if you don't, and you've been following along for a while, or if you're exclusively a podcast listener, I wanted to update you about the house situation. We all know that I moved into my dream home in January of 2022, and it is currently December 10th of 2022. So my lease is coming up here in about a month. I won't bury the lead, but I've made the decision that I'm going to be moving out. I'm not re-signing my lease, and this is my dream home. Like, it has been a really unusual experience. And someone suggested that I do a podcast episode about it. And I was like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to tell you all of the details about what has happened. And in order for this position that I'm in now to really make sense, let's go back to June of this year. Now, the first half of the year was primarily focused on my sister and that whole situation, which I've already talked about in previous episodes. So the reason why I want to call your attention back to that is because one of the driving forces behind me wanting to make sure I had extra space was to accommodate my sister. That was something that I really wanted to have available. I wanted to have the space to take her in if she needed, which she did. And I wanted to have enough space for me to feel like I could separate work from everything else. And so that was one of the main reasons why I did need something bigger than I would have had if it was just me. So right after she moved out, my attention then was put on the furnishings and taking care of the household and everything like that. I do not, at the time I didn't know why, but I could not bring myself to furnish the house. I couldn't do it. I even made a huge furniture purchase. Like, I bought a bunch of stuff. I bought chairs, I bought a bench, I bought a bar, I bought all of these different things, and I couldn't go through with it. I canceled all of my orders. I sent everything back. I could not receive this furniture. And it was baffling to me. I'm like, why the fuck do I have this much resistance to furnishing this house? Like, what is my deal? You know, I have one bedroom that is dedicated. It's kind of like a living room because there's not a good place to like watch movies in the house. There's no good living room setup. So I just converted one of the bedrooms into that. And I couldn't bring myself to buy a couch. I browsed, I shopped, I looked, I found stuff that I liked. Nope. I could not click purchase. The thing that was really bizarre about this is in my head, I was like, well, I'm going to live here. I need to furnish the place where I'm going to be living. This doesn't make any sense. I haven't even been here that long. So I don't force anything. I leave it alone. I just am like, whatever. I'm going to rock this air mattress situation in my makeshift living room and just roll with it. I don't get this. I don't understand why it's happening, but whatever. During this time, once I stopped worrying about furniture or contemplating that, my attention then got really focused on my work. So I started making some serious changes to how I run things and how I operate in my work. And on top of that, I started going deeper into my human design. That was like my thing, was just really getting clear on it, working with it, and letting myself trust my design more than I was before. One of the things that I ended up learning about myself was the importance of friction. So friction is a really important part of my chart. And it's basically, do I want to avoid something? Am I being repelled by it? Or do I want to get close to it? Do I want to get intimate with it? So right after this whole human design thing, I remember telling myself and asking, that I wanted to get really, really good at following my soul. Because the thing is, when you're following the mind, it's not exactly going to give you a good ride. It's not going to pull you along a path of fun and pleasure and excitement and satisfaction. So my main focus and practice then was put on listening. Like listening and really hearing my soul. Like what is it asking of me? What is it wanting me to do? And this is also how the Graced protocol was born, was from this becoming a point of devotion and focus and what I'm allowing myself to follow. It's like the mind is good for certain things, but it's not, it should not be leading. You don't want to lead with the mind. The mind is a tool. You want your soul to lead because that's actually what's going to be the most fulfilling, and you're going to expand the fastest when you're following that part. The thing that's most uncomfortable about that is it's usually opposing your logic. So that's why it's a devotional practice that you have to get used to. It's a muscle that needs to be flexed, because unless you're listening closely, it's going to be difficult for you to override whatever is the habitual default thought pattern that you have going on. So anyway, I start doing all of these new practices. I'm discovering all of these different energetic tools, which I'm teaching in Graced, like really interesting stuff that I've never done before. And as I'm in this deep listening practice, I have a huge spike in anxiety. Like it's building and building and building and building. And it's usually toggling between different topics. So one day I'll have anxiety about my relationship. The next day I'll have health anxiety. Then I'll have anxiety about money. Then I'll have anxiety about this. And the thing that I really want to point out here is my belief systems about these things are solid. My beliefs about money are good. I've been practicing them for a long time, and I've experienced a lot of financial growth over the years. I've seen incredible things happen with money over and over and over again. So if I'm having anxiety about money, to me, that is more of a misalignment issue than a money issue. It's just that the anxiety has nowhere else to go, so it just projects onto a bunch of different stuff. The same way my beliefs about my ability to craft and create my relationship personally is solid. All of my beliefs about that, the practiced thoughts that I have about that, are great. So if I'm having anxiety about it, something's up, like something is off. And for the life of me, I could not figure out what it was pointing me to. One of the things that was most frustrating about this process is I understand the mechanics so well, sometimes it actually works against me. Because then I'll be in a position where I'm like, I fucking know better. It's not so much about the self-criticism as it is, why am I not able to identify what's going on clearly? Like, why is this taking me so long to figure out? And the discomfort was somewhat of a slow burn. I knew it was happening. I knew what was going on. I know how to redirect my thoughts. I understand that the negative emotions are trying to guide me. But everywhere I looked, I was like, what are you telling me? Where are you guiding me? What is this next piece that wants to happen? While I'm in this frustrating period, at the same time, I'm noticing my avoidance is really increasing. I'm not taking walks in the neighborhood anymore. I don't want to leave my room. I want to do everything from my bedroom. I want to sit in there. I want to meditate. I want to just sit in there, contemplate, and drink tea. That's basically what I want to do the entire time. I don't even want to go outside. The other big thing, and I know this isn't typical, But for myself, if I don't desire exercise, something's wrong. So I know for a lot of other people, it's like, oh my God, like I wish I wanted to exercise. But for me, when I'm really in alignment, when I'm in my flow, I want to move. I want to exercise. I want to get on my Peloton. I want to do some Pilates. I want to move around. I want to do all these different things. I want to go for a walk around the neighborhood. So the avoidance of exercise is actually really recent. That's something that I started noticing in the last, I would say 3 weeks, maybe a month. And something about it was just so concerning to me. And we're not talking about inspired rest. We're not talking about my body wanting to recoup. We're not talking about a yin restorative period. It's avoidance. And still, I cannot figure out what I'm avoiding. What am I avoiding? Why am I wanting to lock myself in my room? I do not get it. And now I'm getting pissed because I can't get a grip on what's happening. So while I'm in the middle of all this, my landlord asks me if I want to re-sign the lease, if I want to stay here another year. Because of course, if not, then she's going to need to make arrangements, find another tenant, get everything ready, all that stuff. So initially I said yes. I told her, I was like, yeah, I'd like to stay here another year. Because what is there to question? It's my dream home, right? Well, right after I told her yes, I want to stay here, my business came to a screeching halt. Everything stopped. Clients stopped, money stopped, sales stopped, everything stopped. And of course, me, considering I've had this business for 5.5 years and I've had wild amounts of success and growth, and because I've been doing money work, right, around my mindset, my belief systems, the thoughts I think, the feelings I feel, the beliefs that I hold, all of that stuff, I've been practicing them for so long, my baseline is really solid. It's really well established. And so my default is not negative thought forms. So for me, if something weird is happening with money, you better believe it gets my attention. Because that's something that I've been practicing for so long. My momentum around money, it doesn't make any sense for things to just stop like that when the momentum that I have around money is solid. My beliefs about money are curated by me, developed by me, practiced by me, intentionally chosen by me. There is no mystery around my experience with money. So of course, naturally, I go into a panic. And naturally, this extends into catastrophic thinking and being afraid that my life is completely unraveling and everything is falling apart and just all that normal human stuff. I went through all of it. All of it. Hot mess, total nightmare, difficulty calming down, getting a grip. It didn't seem to matter how much I nurtured my nervous system. It was just getting ripped apart. All the while, I'm extremely aware that I have to relax. I've got to relax. I've got to chill. I've got to surrender. If you were in sub, you know. I've got to get to that point. And of course, with the way that I've set up my life, there is not enough action that I can take to sort things out. It's not like there's not enough avenues for money to come in. It's not like I haven't created something sustainable. It's not like I don't know what I'm doing. So it was really clear this was an alignment issue. This was me needing more information, me wanting clarity, and that became the ask. The ask was, show me, make it clear. Make it clear, make it clear, make it clear. What's going on? So now all I'm after is clarity, and I'm doing my best to relax and do things that are pleasurable so that I can get clear direction. And there are a couple nights that I spend in the hot tub. I'm just sitting there. I don't think about anything. I don't play any music. I just sit. Now, at first, I was still very much in my head about it. And I thought it was just a matter of me lining up with more business growth or more financial growth or something like that. So I'm still chewing on this. And then I get in the hot tub again another night. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And I start asking myself questions. At first, it started out with very loose, broad questions. Like just what am I wanting in this moment? What am I really desiring from my life? And then the question came, what if you didn't re-sign the lease? What if you let the house go? And that piqued my interest. I was like, what if I did let the house go? And the reason why it was so interesting to me was because I had zero negative emotion. I didn't feel shame or guilt or fear or anything. It was pure curiosity and interest. And right on the heels of that question and me getting that little piece of clarity, it then led me to ask the question, if your business was booming, you had clients up the wazoo, there was tons and tons of cash flowing in every single month, if you knew that was absolutely certain, would you want to re-sign the lease? And that's when I knew that it was time to let the house go. Because once I asked that question in particular, it changed how the house felt to me. So whereas before focusing on the house was like expansive, and it was expansive for my soul and expansive financially and expansive on all levels. And the thing is, it was all of those things. But once I asked that question specifically, then there was all of this weight, there was heaviness, there was dread almost that was attached to it. And so, of course, I didn't want to do anything right that moment. I was like, I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to continue feeling into it. And it just continued to get clearer and clearer and clearer. So if we're looking at this from a soul level, and we're just looking at this through the lens of divine guidance, it's important to mention that if I was in meditation 2 months ago and I received a thought that was like, let go of the house or move out, I would have overridden it. There's no way I would have been able to receive that guidance, even though it was being presented to me in the form of anxiety and just general discomfort and all of that other stuff. Had I been able to clearly interpret that anxiety 2 months ago, things wouldn't have escalated. But the only way that I could clearly decipher the guidance was when my business was impacted. Because if that's impacted, then it led me to ask a clarifying question. And when I asked that clarifying question, then the guidance became clear. The next move became clear. Looking back on it now, I know that I was receiving that piece of guidance for months. There were some thoughts that did come up on occasion, like just how weird it was for me to be like living in this big castle by myself. It did not feel good. Like managing a household this large by myself did not feel good. I did not like it. And that part was really clear to me. But my resistance to moving was the more dominant force. So my negative association with moving and with the stress that it puts on me, that's the piece that was blocking that guidance from coming in. So until I was led to the question, and the pain points, the pain points were in service of me asking the right question. I was talking about this with a friend of mine recently, and what I've come to realize is that when you are unable to hear something, misalignment and discomfort will show up in other areas to get your attention. Now, of course, when these things happen, it doesn't feel good, it's not ideal, it's not something that we want to go through. But at the same time, if you have a lot of mental resistance and at the same time you're asking for clarity and you're asking for expansion and all of these other things, then your soul has got to get you to the point where you can ask the question, or you can receive the clarity, or you can hear the thought. And the crazy thing about all of this is my soul understands that there's a bunch of goods over here. So my soul is like doing its absolute best to get me over here. But I have to be able to hear it and listen and actually follow through with the guidance. Right? If I had so much attachment to this house, like, oh, but I spent a year looking for this and sculpting it, and I spent a year meditating on it, and I spent all this time and blah, blah, blah. If I listened to those thoughts and I followed that thought train, I mean, things would just get increasingly more painful until something combusts. But fortunately, my commitment was to listening. I want to hear the guidance. I want to receive the guidance. I want to follow the guidance. And so even though it did not feel good part of the time, what I know for sure is the fact that I'm willing and available, and I'm listening and I'm following and I'm trusting, and I'm not getting super wrapped up in any attachments or feeling bad about my choices. That just clogs everything up. Who cares? A couple other interesting things worth mentioning here is that after I made that decision that I was going to let the house go, my business completely erupted. Tons of clients, tons of sales, tons of people got into the astral playground. Just all sorts of stuff started flowing. Because once the energy started flowing again, then it can flow in all other areas. So the only reason why that stuff happened in my work at all was just to get my attention, to lead me to the right question. That's it. So that I could make the most expansive move possible for me at this point in time, which I realize now is not about furnishing the house. When I'm thinking about furnishing the house, that sounds like a total drag. That just does not sound like a good time at all. And what I've realized, this has been stirring within me for several months now, has been that I haven't been focused on anything big. Like once I got this house and once I experienced the house and I sat in the hot tub until my fingers were pruny and I had plenty of bonfires and I cooked countless meals in the beautiful kitchen and I got my dream bedroom set and I did it and did it and did it and did it and did it, I got to the top of the mountain. And I want another mountain to climb. Like I want another creation that is satisfying and rich. And for a long time, while I was manifesting this house, it was evoking a lot of life force energy from me. It was causing a huge amount of energetic circulation. And as a result, everything else was really circulating and flowing. And that really diminished when I got here. You know, my desires just weren't very potent. And so that life force energy wasn't being called through me. And so my inspiration wasn't all that exciting. And what I realize now is I want another mountain. And one of the things that I wrote on Instagram was I I need to take some time to just browse and contemplate what's my next mountain. Because this was just one of many that I'm going to climb. But the information that I'm getting about my next step is that I need to put myself in a transitional spot so that I can really get clear and focus. Because the thing is, I have no desire to be in this house, continue to have it completely empty, commit to another year-long lease, just so I can contemplate. And of course, I want to peek around every corner. I want to know what's coming. I want to know where I'm being led and what's over there. Like of course I want to know. But of course, I am given absolutely no spoilers about what is coming next. And the exciting thing, or the piece that I'm feeling now in a new way, is genuine excitement. Genuine excitement about, I don't know why I'm being called to do this, but I'm absolutely thrilled. I don't know what's over there. I don't know what's in store. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know what I'm going to be inspired to. I don't know what is going to come of this, but it's very clearly right. And that's what I'm most interested in, because I know for certain that my soul has a far better itinerary than I do. My mind's itinerary is crap, but my soul's itinerary is absolutely magical on every level. So I hope you were all as excited as I am to watch the story unfold, to watch what happens next. Who knows, but this is apparently the right next step, so I'm just leaning into it fully. And I am really, really, really happy that you're along for the ride with me. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is curiosity calls. It's a free 20-minute call with me. I've made those available again. I feel like my mojo is back around all things work and content and creating, and I'm just in it right now. So if you want to book a call, if you want to talk about masterminds or programs or any of my work, that is what I recommend getting on. I also have the Astral Playground, which starts on the 15th. We're going to be doing a call every single week if you want to get into the Astral Playground. Graced, I mentioned that briefly. That is the protocol that I have developed, which is all about what I talked about in this episode. And so if you're interested in that, we start in February. Oh man, there's so much stuff going on. I have a New Year meditation that we are going to be doing at the beginning of January. So anyway, all of those links are in the description box. If you want to book a call, hash it all out. If you want to browse, you're more than welcome to browse. Do what you need to do. Just know that everything is available to you. And I appreciate you all so much. Thanks for hanging out. Have an amazing day, night, whatever. And I will talk to you all later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.